Hello and welcome back to the channel. I've been gone for a while. What have you been doing, Michael? Living life. Such a beautiful vague statement. But honestly, I've been missing because I've been really leaning into my type 3 wing and trying to get this music branding for my pop music career popping. So I had to give this channel, which is really my hobby, introverted feeling channel, so I don't go crazy using so much extroverted thinking and those other functions. But now, today, I'm back and I want to talk about being an INFP 4w3 and the pros and the cons that I believe come with that. A little bit of backstory. I am a child of the internet. So I was doing these personality quizzes since I was like 14, 15, around there. And when I was younger, when I was younger, my results for the Enneagram test used to kind of seesaw from either 3 wing 4, 4 wing 3. So basically at 14, 15, your personality is kind of just settling, but it has a direction. So it was 3 wing 4, 4 wing 3. And now, as an adult, it's 4 wing 3. And honestly, it's a perfect description of me. I forgot to say my intro. This is Internet Introvert. I'm an introvert on the internet. I feel like there isn't a lot of videos about 4 wing 3s, specifically INFPs, because I feel like 4 wing 3s are stereotyped, at least from stuff I've seen on the internet, to be associated with ENFPs. So I kind of just wanted to give my experience in this video. The pros and cons list is just to give it structure, because I don't like making videos without structure. We're beginning with the cons. I want to start off on the negative and end positively. Con number 1 of being a 4 wing 3 INFP is that it's quite paradoxical. Why is it paradoxical? Type 4s are all about uniqueness, authenticity, and expressing their authentic self. Type 3s are all about success and being appreciated by other people and being seen as successful. In order to be successful in this world, a lot of times you have to sacrifice your authenticity. So it literally feels like I have two personalities in my brain trying to do my decision making for me. Let me give an example. So I have been creating content on the internet for a very long time. And a lot of my content had me leaning into my 3 wing, which was following a lot of trends. And it did not work out for me. And after like years realizing that it didn't work out for me, then my type 4 main type was like, so you sacrificed your authenticity, our authenticity, for success, and you didn't even get it. So what was the point? It frequently feels like you have to pick one or the other, or being authentic or being successful. And then when you put being an INFP on top of that, INFPs we don't necessarily care about like the outside world so much. We love our rich inner world. But when you're a type 3, you do care about the outside world. You do want the outside world's approval, validation to a certain extent, which isn't bad, but it is definitely not in harmony with, introverted feeling and wanting to, think about your own values and your own feelings and your own opinions and stuff like that. It's definitely in conflict with that, wanting people's approval and wanting to be seen as successful by people, but wanting to be seen as worthy and valuable and successful by yourself. Building upon that, because type 3 and type 4 are both located in the heart center, shame is something that they both have to deal with. And let me tell you, shame is definitely something that I have had to deal with as a 4 wing 3. Like, you feel shame for not being authentic, and then you feel shame for not being successful. And it really, really hits hard. Because you literally feel like you're failing, and you're failing on both fronts. You feel like an absolute failure. That being said, because the 3 wing is just a wing, there have been times when I've been successful at doing things that were not authentic to me. And it still never completed me. I still didn't feel satisfied. There was still that shame that, oh my gosh, but this is not really a great representative of me. So the type 4 will win out. But it's the worst when the shame comes from both of them. The third con of being an INFP 4w3, in my opinion, in my experience, is finding other INFPs sort of difficult to relate to. Because I do believe that my type 3 wing gives me more mainstream interests. And it does make me a bit more outgoing in certain settings that I don't believe that INFPs will necessarily be outgoing in. The club, for example, I will be twerking in the club. That's me. Yep, that's me. I'm twerking, I'm dancing, I'm doing whatever, like by myself. I think that lets you know I'm an INFP, by myself. But I'm doing all of those things, regardless. I feel like that's not something that INFPs are typically known for. Expressing themselves, especially in such a physical way, in an environment with a lot of people. But I feel like that's where, like, I'm not even thinking of other people. I'm just getting my life, But even, like, the music I like to listen to, I feel like a lot of INFPs like, contemplative, introspective, like, slow ballad type music. That could just be me being ridiculous. Or, like, bands that nobody's ever heard of. I'm not that person. I like making pop music and I like listening to pop music. Now, I add my own little, like, unique spin on pop music by making it a little bit more contemplative and introspective with the lyrics. But at the end of the day, I want to feel good and I want to dance to my music for the most part. I feel like that's not necessarily the same joy that INFPs typically get from music. So I feel like there's a kind of a disconnect there. And honestly, I fear on my end, because I'm like, damn, will INFPs relate to me? Would they think that I'm too mainstream? Would they think I'm a basic Becky? For the music I create and how I choose to express myself and the interests I align with. That is something that I have felt insecure about. Even on this channel, like, it's just something to think about. It's just a weird thing. Where it's like, even like the way I talk. Like, I have now been accused twice of being an ENFP. Because the way I speak is a lot more expressive than, like a Keanu Reeves or Heath Ledger. Or like the typical INFPs that we associate the personality type with. But look at Andrew Garfield. He's an INFP. He's probably a 4w3 because he's more expressive. 4w3s just tend to be more expressive. And I would say a little bit more palatable to the mainstream world. Because we care about that. We do want to be more palatable to people. Like a 4w5 does not give a frick. I don't want to be palatable to you all. 4w5s apparently are much less likely to care about being palatable to people, and they really want to express that authenticity that's in the brain. Hats off to you all. The fourth con that I'm going to talk about in this video, before we move on to the pros, is that 4w3s, we can be image focused to a fault. And yeah, to a fault. Where, especially I know in my case, I get so hypercritical of how things look. Like setting up the camera right now, like this was kind of like a task for me because I needed to look good. I need certain things to not be in the shot. Like the lighting needs to be hitting where it needs to be hitting. Like I have to look good because my image, at least my image of myself that I put on this particular YouTube channel, even though it is my more authentic YouTube channel versus like a branded YouTube channel, I still have to look cute. I have to look cute. I have to look cute. I have to look like I have it together. I have to look professional to a certain extent, even though my videos are super casual. It's just what I like. And it's just how I want you to perceive me. I don't want you to perceive me like he's a mess. He doesn't have his shit together. But that could be really frustrating, very stressful. Because there's another side of me that also just wants to like have an iPhone and just walk around, hair not done, outfit a mess, like, because that would be easier. But the 3-wing side of me will not allow me to not care about my image and not criticize myself if I don't meet those standards. But I'm working on that. So those were the cons I wrote down for this video. Let's get into the positives. The first pro of being a 4-wing-3 INFP is that I believe that I'm capable of doing a lot to achieve my individualized goals. It's important that I say individualized goals. I'm not great at doing bullshit that I don't want to do. Like, if I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. If it has no meaning to me, I'm not doing it. I literally become the laziest human in the world. I will move turtle slow. But when it is something that I care about, I actually have more than one branded channel now, whatever, I have to cut that out. But when it's something that I care about, like a highly individualized goal that that my introverted feeling has chosen and says, this is something that we are meant to do, I can do a lot. Doing this here takes over 4 hours to do. But I'm willing to do it because I have an image. My brand has an image now, like this red shit. Like, this is my image. I have to do my hair. I'm capable of doing these tasks, which I hate. Because of success, because of that 3-wing, knowing that these are the things that are going to help me achieve my goals. And I think that is the type 3-wing helping me out, because I feel like a lot of times I do just want to do nothing and really get into that introverted feeling, introverted sensing loop. That type 3-wing is like the kick in the butt to say, no, we got to do this. We have goals to reach. 2, I do think that being a 4-wing 3 INFP, I do get a benefit of being outgoing, which I kind of touched on in terms of like the interest. I do appear more outgoing than other INFPs in particular settings, and I do think that is to my benefit. Even in like my group of friends, I feel like I don't, well, depending on the group, but I tend to not shrink back. Like, I don't like disappear. And I feel like INFPs kind of have this representation of being like observers, place of being a wallflower energy. But I believe that I am more willing to take up space. It obviously depends on the setting though, because if it's just people I do not know, then you're going to get the typical INFP from me. But just a hint of familiarity with you, and I would be a lot more outgoing. So I don't need as much information about people to show my outgoing side, or to, just crack a joke and be shady, things like that. And of course the dancing in the clubs and stuff like that. Like, I'd be more willing to do those things. The third pro, I would say, of being a 4-wing 3 INFP is that I do believe that we are more stylish than the other types of INFPs. I said what I said. We're more stylish because we care about the perception of our style. I find that other INFPs tend to be more minimalist with the way that they approach clothing. Very functional. Very, very SI, introverted sensing. This is comfortable. Looks alright. That's not gonna fly with me. Comfortable, looks alright. I need to look good. Okay, like, as he says on a basic white t-shirt. I need to look good. And I need to stand out. Now, that is my ideal fashion sense. And I think that makes us a little bit more stylish. Because we're not gonna, well, for me, as a 4-wing 3, I'm not gonna try to wear something that's the most unconventional thing ever. But I do want to wear something unique that I know people like. Which is just a 4-wing 3 summed up perfectly there. Unique that people like. Which is actually the 4th pro. Think about like how I look, right? Like this red shit in my hair. It's unique, it stands out, it's something to remember. Somebody on YouTube said that I look like I have 2 Cheetos in the front of my head. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to continue to do this style because that means that it stands out and it's identifiable, it's brandable. So I'm continuing to do it. I feel like these are the things that 4-wing 3s we do. We push the envelope, but in a relatively safe way at times. Sometimes we could go off the deep end. Like Melanie Martinez, if you know who that is. She's a 4-wing 3 INFP. Love her so much. But she goes beyond what even I think I could do as a 4-wing 3 in terms of pushing the envelope. But she's a great example too. The 4th pro of being an INFP 4-wing 3, which I kind of mentioned earlier, is being able, ideally, in our healthiest state, we are able to merge uniqueness and being successful and resonating with people. Especially if you're creative. You're able to create a piece of work that is unique and different, but can also apply and resonate with the masses. And I think honestly that is the goal of my music, my art, my movie, when I eventually make it. I do want to show my unique perspective on the world, but I also do want it to be enjoyed by millions. And yes, there is a sacrifice of authenticity to a certain extent to get that. But there's also the payoff, like the real world payoff. I'm talking about like the legacy, career, eating good food type of payoff, which I will deal with, okay? Because the more successful you become, I think actually more niche you could become, which is the more authentic you could become because you already got the mainstream. So do whatever the hell you want to do now. My closing statement, I do want to say that being a 4w3 INFP is, I generally enjoy it. Like, I could do without the shame and like the confidence issues and the weird relationship that I have with people where I don't care about what they think, but then I do. Like, I could do without those things, but I do like the benefits. I do like the benefits because I love like thinking about my individualized goals. I love career focused stuff. Like, I love achievement. Like, I do. And I do love achieving the things that I set out to do because I said it, because I chose it for myself. I do like that. It gives me like a slightly more positive relationship with extroverted intuition and extroverted thinking. I think that's really what the 3-wing does for me. It gives me greater command of those things to create things. And that's what I want to do. I want to create. So it's perfect for me, honestly. But let me know your experiences as whatever Enneagram type you are. Do you like the Enneagram more? I low-key do, because I feel like it really gets the flavor of me right. I feel like the INFP sometimes is too general. We are so many different Enneagram types. Like, I didn't even know we could be type 6s. I didn't. I thought we could be type 9s and type 4s. So I think it's really cool that we could even be type 6s. So it's just telling you, like, sometimes, you know, MBTI is limiting. And if you are another INFP 4w3, you are amazing. You weird contradiction of a human.